Names Dickens Omanga and Job Nalianya might not ring a bell unless you pull out archives of past KCSE student rankings. 14 years ago, Dickens Omanga of Friends School, Kamusinga, was the top student in the country. Whilst 5 years later, Job Nalianya of St. Seminary topped the KCSE list nationally. But where are these top students in 2021? And was the future handed to them on a silver platter because of their outstanding performance? Waihiga Mwaura tracked the top cream of the crop to establish their life accomplishments.
The year is 2006. President Mwai Kibaki had led the country for 4 years so far during his first term, and his education minister was the late Professor George Saitoti. The top student in KCSE that year was Dickens Omanga of Friends School Kamusinga in Bungoma County. We track him down 14 years later to Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, where he is now a medical doctor. He shows us old newspapers from March 2006, when the whole country heard his name announced on national television.
It was a surprise. I did not expect to be the best, but I knew that I will do well because I was very well prepared.
Life changed after that for him, an experience which he recalls was both exhilarating yet challenging at the same time.
People expected that probably I need to, or I will go to the likes of Harvard and Yale and all these Ivy League universities. Everyone wanted me to be a doctor, computer scientist, actuarial scientist.
The accomplishment of being the top student in the country even motivated him to tell a local publication that he would one day be the president of the country. But 14 years later, Dickens no longer harbors that ambition. In 2007, Dickens got a job with a regional bank for 2 years before joining the Nairobi University to pursue medicine. He successfully graduated in 2013. He has since enrolled for a master's degree and hopes to become a consultant orthopedic surgeon. Having been among the top cream in previous national examinations, Dickens has words of advice for the 2020 top performers.
You should not really celebrate forever. Life must go on. Do not bow to a lot of pressure. Some people might be forced by their parents or their friends to do this and that might not be the best that they can achieve.
In his free time, Dr. Dickens and his wife Marceline produce motivational YouTube videos, which he shoots and edits in his home studio. Part of the advice he gives in those videos could be applicable to Form 4 leavers who failed to qualify for university.
The world is not only for the A students. The world is not only for those who are at the top of the ranking charts. Just find out where your unique abilities lie.
The 31-year-old doctor says he understands why the global narrative that A students could eventually end up working for C students is so popular.
The problem is a lot of A students like ourselves just get into school and get into books and read over and over several years, and you don't really sit down to think about, things like business. That is where A students end up working for C students, because right away the C students just got out and started creating for themselves some sort of livelihood, but the A students would think that just reading just the books would give them what all they need in life.
Fast forward to 2012. The top student in the country was Job Nalianya of St. Seminary in Kakamega County. The soft-spoken young man was hoping for a straight A, but never imagined that he would emerge the #1 student that year.
Diligence, devotion, and I think those are the key items that you have to follow for us to succeed. So if you put that in mind and you have to be very close to God, I think you can do anything.
2 years later, Job was accepted to the prestigious Stanford University, where he completed his degree in electrical engineering in 2017 and a master's degree in the same course thereafter. He grants us a virtual interview where he takes us back to the results announcement.
And for some reason, I think I wasn't actually following the results as they were being announced. And so what happened is that my friend, he's called Alphonse, my really close friend from childhood, he called me and he told me that I was top in the nation, and I didn't really believe it because we grew up together, so we like joking with each other. So I just thought he was pulling my leg, but turns out he was right.
The 27-year-old now works for Texas Instruments, an American technology company.
So what we do is that we build chips that go into most of the everyday use electronic devices, let's say laptops, iPads, phones, and so I work as an IC designer. So I design the circuits that go into the chips that are used in these electronic devices.
He confesses that his educational journey at Stanford was not easy. Despite being a top student in Kenya all his life,
I was used to doing really, really well in school, right? And then I come to the US, and like pretty much every smart person in the world, like every smart people from all over the world are also at Stanford, right? So you are competing with everyone who is really, really doing well.
Professor Bitangen Demo of the University of Nairobi reckons that A students are gifted with the ability to quickly grasp concepts ahead of their contemporaries.
You find there are several things that happen, maybe family, maybe the way they grew up.
But he reckons that poor performance in local or national exams is not an indication of an intelligence deficiency, but rather an indictment of an education system that assumes that all are equal when the reality is very different.
Because what we see right now is that even those who had D's and C's, now they are actually the best coders because they go through the new learning, slowly build their capacities. And you see these global companies now are hiring those who got the D, C, where they can learn how to code, and they become the best coders. For example, I failed in English in my O-levels. It hurt me for a very long time. But then I had to develop mechanisms, let me be writing more, let me be doing this to overcome that problem.
Experts believe that the future of learning will be interactive and highly individualized, where the curriculum aligns with the strengths of individual students and each student can learn at their own pace. It is possible that in the future, degree courses could take less than 4 years as employers emphasize more on skills rather than qualifications, and teachers could eventually become more of coaches. Waihiga Mwaura, Citizen TV.